we're getting the new relationship montage. You know that time where you're so smitten with each other that you do new things to appease them and feel closer, like eating cantaloupe, which Mindy is correct about. She says it's disgusting, by the way, in case you didn't watch the episode. Or Danny wearing a pink shirt for a very short amount of time. Now, as soon as we come back from the montage, though, we're introduced to the first bit of tension in their budding relationship. Welcome back to another episode of The Rank. I'm John, and today we're going to be ranking the next episode of The Mindy Project. Now, for those of you who are new to the show, I'm going to give you an agenda real quick. I start with the potent notables, which are just a couple interesting facts or tidbits that I found out about the episode or series. Then I go into the episode overview, which is just me talking about everything that happened in the episode, and then I do the rank, where I rank the episode based on 5 categories. On a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best, all to find out what's the best sitcom of all time. And today we're going to be ranking the first episode of the 3rd season of The Mindy Project, titled We're a Couple Now, Haters, written by Mindy Kaling and directed by Michael Spiller. Now, just so you know, there are going to be spoilers ahead. So let's find out how this episode stacks up with the rest, starting with the potent notables.
Potent notables.
So the first episode of the 3rd season aired Tuesday, September 16th, 2014, ending at 2.5 million viewers, which wasn't the best it's ever done, but was a nice jump up for it. Now, going into its 3rd season, will it capitalize on those gains? And it did go up, going from 2.5 million in the season finale to 2.7 million viewers for the season 3 premiere. It did lose 300,000 from its new girl lead-in, but it beat the 8 to 9 p.m. show on Fox, which was Utopia, which had 2.4 million. But how did it do against competition? Well, it beat a rerun of Supernatural, which only had 800,000 viewers. It also beat a couple shows that it had historically lost to. Storage Wars on A&E and 19 Kids and Counting on TLC. However, it didn't have enough juice to take out the other network shows. It was reasonably close to beating Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on ABC, which had 3.2 million viewers, and it lost to a rerun of NCIS Los Angeles on CBS, which had 5.4 million. It also lost to the winner of the time slot and night, NBC's America's Got Talent, which had 11.5 million viewers. So, good start to the season for Mindy, but I know that Fox doesn't renew it after this season, so I can't imagine that it'll get much better. But I guess we'll see. Now, I don't have a lot of info for potent notables. I wanted to get something about Rob McElhenney's guest appearance here, but I couldn't really find any interviews with him talking about this. He must have been a good guest star, though, because when Ike Barinholtz was asked what guest stars he'd like to see brought back, he said, "There's just the people that are our favorites. We knew we needed to have Glenn Howerton back. My cousin on the show is Rob McElhenney. Hopefully we get him back." The only other two he mentioned in that article were the Duplass brothers. So clearly Rob made an impression. Alright, so those are all the potent notables. Let's go to the episode overview. So we open the episode with Danny doing the voiceover, which I thought was cute, but I was disappointed because I knew it meant that the bit wouldn't be happening. You know, the bit where he's actually talking to somebody. But wouldn't you know it, he was doing the bit. I really enjoyed that he was doing it, even though it seemed really unnatural for him. I still loved it. Also, I love that she tells him to shut up and bang her, and then she picks up the voiceover. Alas, though, she doesn't do the bit. I think it would have been fun if they had doubled it up like that, but oh well. But we get a lot of storytelling out of the way in the time before the credits because we're getting the new relationship montage. You know that time where you're so smitten with each other that you do new things to appease them and feel closer, like eating cantaloupe, which Mindy is correct about. She says it's disgusting, by the way, in case you didn't watch the episode. Or Danny wearing a pink shirt for a very short amount of time. Now, as soon as we come back from the montage, though, we're introduced to the first bit of tension in their budding relationship. Mindy likes to talk openly about her relationships, and Danny does not. How do we find this out? Well, Peter asks Danny to teach him how to do cunnilingus better because, as we established last season, he has never given a woman an orgasm. And Mindy has been bragging about Danny's skills. This is one of those things that would have made me really uncomfortable at first, but then probably would have made me feel good, you know? I think for me it would be, are you only talking about the good stuff, or are you complaining about me to everyone too? Because that would be tougher to take. We get so many references to this throughout the episode, the cunnilingus, and I love the analogies that are made for it. Like, he's, quote, like a thirsty camel at a desert oasis. Even Morgan tells him to get his hot little tongue into the staff meeting. This is just great stuff. Danny, as we expected he would, tells Mindy that she needs to keep things more private, which Mindy reluctantly agrees to. She ends up doing so well with it, though, that Danny gives her a piece of hot goss that she can't talk about. And that is that he caught Jeremy giving Lauren, who is Peter's brand new girlfriend, if you recall from the season finale last episode, a neck rub. It's funny because I thought for sure that it was going to end up being that was being blown out of proportion, but, and not to get ahead of myself here, it was definitely not. Oh, by the way, we had Glenn Howerton as a love interest for Mindy for for a few episodes last season, so it seems only natural that we'd have Rob McElhenney for the beginning of the new season. He's playing Morgan's cousin and the new, I guess, janitor for the practice. Anyway, he's weird and mostly unnecessary, but it was fun. Makes me wonder if we're going to get Charlie Day at some point too. But back to the story, Mindy's discretion ebbs after she finds a pink thong in Danny's drawer. She naturally assumes it's an ex and is actually really cool about it, but Danny's refusal to discuss it gives her pause. Now, if Danny had just said, yeah, it's an ex's, I don't know why I kept it, nothing would have happened. But his embarrassment and refusal to talk about it sends Mindy spiraling. Even still, she holds it together, almost asking Peter about it. Even after Peter sees what she's holding are stripper panties because they've got breakaway straps, she doesn't ask him. It isn't until she's with Morgan later that night, who correctly tells her that they're male stripper underwear, that things start to spill. This is when we find out that Danny was a male stripper. Of course, all the other secrets start to spill as well. Well, really just the one other, which is the whole Jeremy Lauren neck rub thing. She tells Morgan, who tells Tamara, and now the whole office knows. Now, earlier in the episode, we find out that Lauren is hosting a party in her apartment to get money for a charity that she's involved with, which is what's going to set the scene for this all to come to a head. Lou, Rob McElhenney's character, is going to mistakenly tell Peter about the neck rub in a really goofy way, which will lead to him confronting Lauren. Also, it's at this party that Danny finds out that Mindy told the secret, which leads to him wanting to confront her. Of course, Mindy already wants to confront Danny because of his stripper days, and after Peter finds out that Lauren kissed Jeremy, he's going to confront Jeremy as well. So a lot of confrontations in this one. Can't decide which one is best. Probably Mindy getting the upper hand on Danny by calling him Diamond Dan, but I did love Peter punching Jeremy in the face. That was a lot of fun too. So, moral of the story here is Danny needs to get over himself and stop having so many secrets. Mindy needs to maybe chill out on telling everybody everything, and look out, Peter, because Jeremy isn't going to back down. It was a great first episode and it left me excited to see how the rest of season 3 will turn out. But let's find out how this one ranked.
A rank.
So the rank is where I rank the episode on 5 categories: story, acting, dialogue, episode coherence, and character relatability. I rank it on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. And then I have a laugh counter where I tally up the amount of times the episode made me laugh out loud. 1 point per laugh out loud gets added to the score. But before I dive into the rankings here, I just want to say, if you're enjoying this episode, please leave a like down below. It really does help me out. But without further ado, the first category is story, which I gave a 5. It's the story of a new relationship, but not just any new relationship, the new relationship that everyone has been waiting to see happen. And it was done really well. I like that it talks about the things that make us better in the beginning, but also the things that we have to get used to with a new person. The next category is acting, which I gave a 4.5. I thought the acting was really great in this episode. Rob McElhenney felt like he was kind of just playing Mac in this episode, though. I hate to bag on him for that because he was fine, but you know, you could tell he was the odd man out here. So let's go to dialogue, which I gave a 5. Hilarious episode. Not much more you can say. The jokes were nonstop and mostly poignant in regards to new relationships. Really excellent. So let's go to episode coherence, which I gave a 5. Everyone felt like a continuation of their character. It felt very accurate in that regard. Also, the story was well defined and not too convoluted, so kind of perfect. So let's go to character relatability, which I also gave a 5. I think that this show is really at its best when it's showing romantic relationship dynamics. They obviously exaggerate things a bit for comedy, but it tends to do a pretty honest depiction of it. I thought everyone was very relatable in this one. All right, so it's got some really good rankings here. It's not going to take much of a laugh counter to keep it in the top 3 tiers, but this had a really high laugh counter. It got me 26 times, and that puts the grand total up to a 50.5 for the episode, and that puts it in the meaning of life, the top tier. As for the series average, it goes to 36.6, giving it a pretty decent jump further into the holy grail. And if you're ranking along with me, drop your score for this one in the comments. I want to see if we line up. I'm especially curious about people's laugh counters. But thanks for listening and or watching. If you'd like to see a list of our episode and series rankings, you can do that on our website at therankpodcast.com. And for those of you who've been watching for a while and haven't subscribed, please do subscribe and or follow if you're enjoying the show. For anybody else out there, you can comment or shoot me an email at info@therankpodcast.com with questions, comments, or suggestions, and I will reply to you if you want me to. Please also consider becoming a patron on our Patreon site at patreon.com/therankpodcast, where you can get access to our archived episodes. But I will leave you with this. Why did Mindy say that dating Danny improved her vocabulary?
Oh, why is that?
Because he turned out to be a real cunning linguist.
Yeah, good one.
You know, it's a classic. But we get a lot of storytelling out of the way in the time.
Cut!
But we get a lot of storytelling in the...
That's okay. Take your time.